Hello everybody. We've been spending some time on factoring, and I have stressed to you how important factoring is in Algebra 2. And if you would go on to college and take a pre-calculus class or a college algebra class or any higher level math, factoring is going to be a part of that. So if you've been successful at factoring, it is going to serve you well if you go forward in mathematics. And in the meantime, it has helped you exercise your brain for other things too. So we've been factoring a lot of trinomials, but typically the trinomials that we factored, if there was a number in this position, in the A position, if there was a number before the x squared, we usually could get rid of it by doing a GCF, right? Or maybe it was a perfect square trinomial and we could use like knowing that it was a perfect square. So for instance, if we had something like 3x squared minus 21x plus 36, we could first just divide everything by 3. That would be using a GCF. And then we could factor from there, x minus 4, x minus 3. So that's how we could get rid of that a, that number in front of x squared. Or we did look at just a few problems, and if you did AA6 special cases, if you had some problems like this, 9x squared, we'll say plus 25, that you might have done that, and we recognize that these are both perfect squares, and this was 3x plus 5 with a square on the outside. But we did it because we knew it was going to follow a pattern. But if you look at this problem I have down here, neither of those processes is going to help, right? I can't take out a GCF because it doesn't have one. And it's not perfect squares, so it's not going to fit my pattern up there in the green. So we have to have another way. And in fact, that's part of why I don't teach the perfect square thing so much, because this way would work for what I did in the green also. So I'm going to clear off what we currently have on the screen just so that we have a nice clean screen. The assignment's going to be on IXL AA5, so I'll just go ahead and put that out there for you as a reminder. If you're listening to this in a later term and you're like, what's IXL? Then maybe we no longer use that. So, okay, I can't. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of difficulty. There we go. Sorry about that. So, there are two different ways that we're going to learn to factor something like this. The first way is called, well, I call it split the middle. So basically what we do when we do this is we split up the middle term. It makes it turn into having 4 terms. And if it has 4 terms, then we can use grouping. So this here is important. Like, it really should be like step number 1. People overlook it. So we have to take A times C. So we're going to take this times this. We're going to slide that over and multiply. So 6 times 3 is 18. So you know how usually we were multiplying to get the last number? We're still going to be multiplying to get a number, but to get what we're looking for, we do the 6 times 3. So we want two numbers that multiply to be A times C, and then they add to be the negative 11. Now I'm just going to put this on a little organizer where the top is what they multiply to be. Some people use this even for the ones we've been doing, where always what they multiply they put on the top. So if I'm multiplying to be 18 but adding up to negative 11, we know there'd be two negatives, 9 and 2. Now the difference here is I can't go straight to my parentheses. So we don't go straight to the parentheses. This is just step 1, find the factors. What I just did over here, I found my two numbers. And you don't have to make that little X. And then to carry on with this split the middle, that just tells me how I'm going to split the middle. So that negative 11x is going to get split up as negative 9x, negative 2x. And if you wrote negative 2x first, it still works. Now that we've split the middle, so those two new middle should add up to the middle that was in the original problem. The first term and the last term just come straight down. So all at once I did all of those things. So I brought down the 6x squared, I split the middle, and then I brought down the 3. Now it's a factor by grouping problem. So now we're going to look at these first two, these second two, GCF of the first two, 3x, leaving us with 2x minus 3. Second two don't have anything in common. I do know I need to bring out a negative because I can't leave that negative inside the parenthesis. So if there's nothing else in common, then 1 is our GCF because 1 goes into everything. So if I divide these by negative 1, they become 2x minus 3, which is good because now my parentheses match. I do my happy dance. So then our final answer, I know amazingly, my normal, did not leave myself enough room. 3x minus 1, 2x minus 3 is my final answer. So the final answer is still 2 sets of parentheses. Now some people just do this with guess and check. Like to get 6x squared, I could have 6x and x, or 3x and 2x. To get 3, I have to have a 3 and a 1, but I could switch places. Whatever you come up with at the end, you should at least mentally be doing a quick run through of FOIL to make sure that it actually does get you back to that original. And in this case it does. Okay? So we'll try some more. So if it's seeming a bit overwhelming, this is the hardest part of factoring. So if it's feeling hard, you're not alone, but you'll get it. Now I'm going to show you a second method. And this method, I call it the asterisk method. I've seen it called the snowflake, other ways of saying it. But in this method, we use this X with a line through it, an asterisk, as an organizational tool to help us solve this. It has much less writing than doing it by split the middle. There are a lot of the things that are the same. So first thing, draw your asterisk, and I just drew one up here at the top that actually has where things go. These blanks are where your missing numbers go. So for this particular problem, I'm drawing my asterisk. My A times C is 4 times negative 10, so that's a negative 40. My AX and AX, that's where I put 4x and 4x. So when I talk about A, B, and C, I'm talking about ax squared plus bx plus c. So whatever number is in front of the x squared, that's A, the one in front of the x is B, and the constant conveniently is called C. And then in the bottom, it's B. That's what it's always going to add to, the middle. So the 3 goes here. And then the 2 blank spots, those are your factor. That's where your factor pair is going to go. So kind of like what we normally would be looking for when we go straight to parentheses. So if this is negative 40, I know that my factor pair then has got to be 1 is a plus and 1 is a minus, because it's a negative 40. The signs have to be different. So what multiplies to be 40 but subtracts to be 3? So we've done that process a few times. So hopefully you came up with 8 and 5, whether it just popped in your head, or maybe you went 1 and 40, nope, 2 and 20, nope, 3 doesn't work, 4 and 10, nope, 5 and 8, 5 and 8 subtract to be 3. Okay, so remember, you can run through your factors, try things. If you don't know, just grab a calculator and check. If it divides into it, then the answer, those 2 numbers are a factor pair. So here's where sometimes people don't like this, because you have to reduce the fraction. So this 4x plus 8 on the left, I need to reduce that. So what we've done reducing, right, with our dividing polynomials and things, so 4 over 8, 4 goes into 4, this would just be 1, and 4 goes into 8 2 times. And then you read it from top to bottom. So this would be x plus 2. And then on the right, that 4 over 5 does not reduce. So that's just 4x minus 5. And that's my 2 sets of parentheses. Now, I should always check to make sure it works, especially if it's a new method and I'm not sure if I'm doing things the right way. So I'm going to FOIL it out. I'm going to multiply it out. Remember that you can check any factoring problem by multiplying. So x times 4x, 4x squared. This is my check, by the way. X times negative 5, negative 5x. 2 times 4x is plus 8x. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. And then these 2 in the middle that are like terms would add up to be 3x. And sure enough, that matches what we started with. Okay, so this was in your notes. Sorry, hopefully you found it in your notes. I forgot to tell you which page in the notes when we got started. Alright, so I'm a little disappointed in myself because I've been talking to myself like I'm teaching you and I hadn't pushed record once again. So even when I'm sitting here by myself, it happens. This problem I'm going to show you both ways. I'm going to show you factoring by grouping, and I'm going to show you the asterisk. Alright, so I'll do this problem, as I mentioned probably already once. I'll do this problem both ways. So first, let's look at one with grouping. So where we split the middle and then group. So for both methods, your first step is going to be to multiply a times c. So that's 21. So then when we're using split the middle, we write down the first one. We split this middle term. That's where we're looking for our 2 factors. What multiplies to be 21 and adds up to be 10? Well, in this case, that's that same 3 times 7, right? So then the 10g gets rewritten as 3g plus 7g plus 7. I bring down the last term. Now you treat it like any of our grouping problems with 4 parts. Look at those first 2. What goes into those first 2? A 3 and a g. And then inside the parentheses, if we divide by 3g, what's left? Look at the second 2. What do they have in common? They both have 7. So I have 7 on the outside, 3g plus 1. And then I do my happy dance because my parentheses match. I group together what's on the outside, and then what's on the inside goes in its own set of parentheses. And there's my answer. All right, so that is the method known as split the middle. Basically turns it into a grouping problem. And then we have the asterisk. So look at your notes, and you'll see what to fill in on your asterisk. The top is where you put your A times C. So that's where my 21 goes. B for bottom, the middle goes on the bottom. 3G on each arm of my asterisk. And we know that the signs, since it's positive 21 and positive 10, are both positive. And then we're looking for those magical factors. Might seem a little more obvious now because we just did this problem, right? 7 and 3. Doesn't matter really which order you put it in. And then from there, top to bottom, those are our factors. 3g plus 7. And then these 3's cancel to become 1's. So then g plus 1. So same answer, 2 different ways to get there. You obviously do not have to work it both ways, but you might want to try both ways to see which one you like better. Sometimes students like the first way I just showed you because they already know how to do factoring by grouping, and so they have something to reference it. But then like, wow, it feels like less writing to do the second way. So it is absolutely your choice. All right, next problem, next up. So again, I'm going to show this one both ways. If you don't like both ways, that's okay. This time I'm going to erase in between. So first step, multiply A times C. Sorry about that extra. I don't know why that's like that. I'm not trying to highlight. So I have 5g squared minus 24g minus 5. And that gives me negative 25. So then I want two things that multiply to be negative 25 and then add up to negative 24. So that's just going to be 1 and negative 25, right? That's how that middle is going to get split. The signs would have to be different. So 5g, and you could do this either way. I'm going to go ahead and put minus 1g, but you could put the minus 25 first. Both ways, or the plus 1 though. Both ways work. So looking at the first two, they have a g in common, and then that would just be plus 1. Looking at the second two, remember I can't leave that negative, so this would be negative 5 is their GCF. This would become 5g, negative 5 divided by negative 5 plus 1. So group together my outside, g minus 5, 5g plus 1. So g minus 5, 5g plus 1. Same problem, asterisk. Negative 25 on top, negative 24 on the bottom, 5g, 5g, 1 plus, 1 minus. Two things that multiply to be 25 but subtract to be 24. Positive 1, negative 25. Factors reading down this way, so 5g plus 1. This one reduces. 5 goes into 25 5 times, so this is g minus 5. The order of the parentheses is not important. So If you put it in the other order, that is absolutely okay. It's the same thing. So no worries about that. So we'll do one more. Again, AA6 is going to be your assignment. 5G plus 1, G minus